What is going on, Ravens flock, and welcome here to another episode of the Ravens Way podcast, episode number 22, and it is the 21st night of September. Boss, how we doing?
Doing great. Really flying high off that huge, absolutely huge road divisional victory. One of the hardest games on their schedule. Walk in there down 6 key guys, starters that are all hurt, not including the 2 you lost during the game. But to pull that game out, they really have seized control of the division. So, they're heavy favorites in the AFC North now. And I think they've made a statement.
Definitely, I agree. I think that was probably a whole culmination of the team, a team win. I know Harbaugh talks about it a lot, but I think that really was a team victory, offense, defense, maybe not special teams so much. Special teams, what's the point of having a special teams head coach if you're going to let up a touchdown and miss a field goal? But,
what's the point of drafting a BPA inside linebacker if he's going to give up punt return touchdowns, But anyway, yeah.
What's the point of drafting a punter if he's just going to be the most league average punter there is? But anyway. Besides the point. Good, like I said, good team victory. Feel good about it. Victory Thursday, I guess you could say. I got a little carried away over the social media. Usually I'm not into the whole fan go back and forth and ratio and dunk on people, but I kind of had a little bit of fun with it just because it was getting a little crazy over there on the social media part, and I had to make sure that I got a couple shots off.
With some Bengals fans?
Yeah.
You should have called me for some backup, bro. I got you. I had no clue. I haven't really been into social media as much lately, but it's probably a good thing. Yeah,
it was just a few little tweets here and there that people were going crazy with, and they were trying to insinuate that the reason why I kind of stay away from that stuff is because of the whole people flip it and make it personal on you, and it's just like, all right, yeah, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, definitely debate ideas and concepts, not. Anyway, let's get into the couple takeaways we had on this game. Really, my first big takeaway was how well the offensive line performed. You're down 2 starters, arguably 2 of your better starters with Linderbaum and Ronnie Stanley. You plug Pat McCary in there, who neutralizes Trey Hendrickson, that fumble that got called back notwithstanding. And then you have Mustipher, who really anchored pretty well against DJ Reader, perhaps better than even Linderbaum could have. Morgan Moses had a terrific game. You're getting probably league average play out of your left guard, Simpson. Zayler maybe taking a little bit of a step back so far this year, but from week 1 to week 2, the offensive line and how much pressure Lamar was under, it was night and day.
Definitely. I think he was under 9.8% pressure, which was the lowest in his career. That's a huge step up. I'm very, very, very happy to see our offensive line kind of gel a little bit, especially with the backups. You wouldn't expect the backups to kind of gel like that, but they did. And they went out there. And props to Mustipher, who the Bears said that were maybe not a good player. And they always posted that clip of the rollout where he was blocking air. And it's like, whatever. Seems like Chicago has their own problems they need to worry about. And then Macari as well. I thought he played a really good game. And he was a lot better of a run blocker than I thought. I thought that was something that surprised me. A couple times downfield, he got hit in the back, which was funny by the running backs, and see him get knocked down on his knees. But he was out the way.
I think on Gus's touchdown, he got knocked into the end zone.
There was 3 times. There was like 3 times I vividly remember just someone running into the back of him, and he just gets a nice forearm to the lower back.
So that probably feels good on Monday morning. Anyway, yeah, just want to again praise Morgan Moses for really playing at a high level this year. So that's how the Ravens do. They take team players from other teams sometime and bring them to Baltimore and put them in their system, and they play better than they have in previous years. I was also impressed, sticking with the offense. Todd Monken, his play calling, opening script was terrific. Just mixed in, had them on their back heel, and mixing all kind of different concepts, spreading it around. I think Lamar targeted 8 or 9 different receivers in this game. So, yeah, I'm impressed with Monken. He's been all that we could have asked for and more so far as a replacement for Greg Roman.
I agree. And the biggest thing with me with Munkin is the reason why you kind of hired him is to come into games like this and you have a divisional rival and it's week 2 and it's early in the season and you can't get the offense kind of going the first week. It has its bumps, has its bruises, and then you come in here week 2 in a hostile environment and you get to a point where you have the offense can close out the game. And it felt like last year the offense would have a lead and they just couldn't close out the game and the defense back would break. And the reason kind of why you hire Munkin is to come in here and finish the game out. And he did it. He did it very well. That last drive was some of the best run calls, perfectly timed run calls that he's had, so far this season. It's only 2 games, but
Absolutely. That's what the Ravens could do pretty well in the early portion of Greg Roman's tenure and not as well towards the end. They got figured out a little bit. He wasn't just multiple enough to keep defenses honest, I think. That last drive, putting the game away on offense is a sight for sore eyes. And Lamar had a fantastic game, I thought, one of his best as a pro. The stat line doesn't necessarily reflect that. I think really why he is that MVP caliber, franchise caliber, $52 million a year player is on those third and longs, when there's nothing open, and they just can't get him to the ground. And he just extends drive after, converts first down after first down after first down. I think he's really taken well to the more spread elements of Monken's offense. And, from week 1 to week 2, it was a huge improvement as far as his comfortability, I thought.
Definitely. I agree. That was something I highlighted earlier in the day was that was one of his best games throwing mechanically. It may not have shown up on the stat sheet, but when I went back and looked at it from the coach's angle, and we'll see it later, it's like every throw just like there'd be a linebacker in the way, a corner in the way, safety in the way, and it would just find a way to get in the right spot where, 1, it isn't a hospital throw. The guy's going to get laid out. And 2, the guy's going to have a pretty good chance to catch it. I mean, the Duvernay play where Duvernay had to fade up the sideline and the ball was, just like that ball, like, I mean.
The touchdown?
Huh?
The touchdown? Duvernay's touchdown? Or the crossing route?
No. He had the one where he reached an arm out and was down the sideline and it went off one of his hands. That throw was so well placed to me. And I think if it was someone who maybe isn't so stiff, it would have been a touchdown, in my opinion. And a few other plays that
I know. Yeah. I know what player you're talking about now. I can picture it. Yeah, that segues into my final point or takeaway from the offensive performance in week 2. What a difference capable wide receiver depth makes. You basically have Bateman serving as your wide receiver 3 and Duvernay as your wide receiver 5 in this game. They were receivers 1 and 2 respectively last season. Just having these guys where Beckham gets hurt in this game. I don't know if it was the clothesline or the 2-yard line after he tried to get up and run it in, but he hurt his ankle. And then you have Aguilar come in and kind of take over the game in a way. I mean, he ended up leading the team in receptions, got pretty much the touchdown to put him away. He would have been the Ravens wide receiver 1 down the stretch last year. He's better than Demarcus Robinson, no question. And he's your wide receiver 4/5. That is the matchup advantage. And we're looking at these games every week now. We're starting to get into the season a little bit more and who's going to win this game and who's going to win that game. And it comes down to matchups. And there's not a whole lot of teams that have the same amount of firepower, the playmaking firepower, including the tight ends, as the Ravens. So I really think that bodes great for the rest of the season and hopefully the postseason.
I agree. And I've been kind of tapping the drums a little bit for Aguilar during the offseason, saying it was a good signing, underrated signing. He plays well through camp. And I was just a week off on the anytime touchdown for him. I was really feeling it last week. I'm like, you know what? No one's talking about him. He's going to go out there for a good game. And he comes out here, week 2 and follows it up. So,
well, you and me both, because I had Andrews with the first touchdown. He got the second touchdown. So I was 1 touchdown off on my prop pick last week. Flipping over to the defensive side, unless you had any more big. Well, I guess you'll break it down when you're in your all 22 film analysis. Defensive side of the ball, I think McDonald, he owns Burrow. I mean, His defense, the vision of his defense with two rangy, fast, playmaking inside backers and just a strong spine, and maybe not quite the girth and the stout nose tackles that they've had in the past, although Pierce is playing well. Um, he doesn't have an apex pass rusher. He doesn't have any necessarily shutdown corners uh, right now, but it plays really, really well against Joe Burrow. It's 4 games now where he's pretty much shut him down. They're just held him way below his normal efficiency. I'm not completely convinced that that formula will be as efficient, effective against Patrick Mahomes and a big arm quarterback that also has a really good offensive line. But against most teams, it does seem that this experiment of building the defense inside out is paying dividends so far.
Yeah, I agree. I think down Geno Stone, down, excuse me, Marcus Williams, and for the defense to not kind of get compromised at all, and still not a lot of explosive plays allowed outside of I think that play was incompleted on the sideline where they tapped it in, but I think they kept everything from the 20s within, and that's all you can ask for against this offense. And like you said, I'm really impressed from what happened, and I'm looking forward to down the stretch here of the season, facing some other offenses that are a little more multiple than the Bengals are, because the Bengals are kind of a shotgun-only offense. So not a lot of moving the linebackers, so to say.
Yeah, the good thing looking forward is they don't play another offense that really has scary weapons until week 9 against Seattle. Coming up, Pittsburgh's down a receiver. Amandro St. Brown's banged up. Pretty much they don't have a gauntlet of pass catchers like they face against Cincy for 2 months now, pretty much. Jadeveon Clowney, also wanted to make mention. I know we're going to circle back to him in the film portion, but really paying off, and a large snap share in this game with OA getting nicked up, missing the vast majority of the second half. Clowney played almost 80% of snaps and made a big impact.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, we'll circle back on it here in a little bit, but one of the things that we kind of been missing for a while is just a pure power rushing game wrecker that can play the run and pass defense. You could say Judon.
Since Judon
was the last guy. But I feel good about Clowney. Hopefully he can make it through the season. Obviously, Owe is going to be out this upcoming week, most likely. And, just go out there and just be what he is doing so far, which is a disruptor, ruin the pocket, and get after the quarterback.
Yeah, definitely seems like one of those patented under-the-radar DaCosta signings that gives you, 3 times return on your investment. So far, but they got to limit his snaps. They can't burn him out with too many snaps, I think, going forward. Last point I want to make takeaways from week 2. Defensive backs are really stepping up. You and I, when we first started this podcast, the first probably 15 episodes or so, we were wringing our hands over what the hell are they going to do in the secondary. And I will give us credit because we did change our tune once Darby and Clowney were brought in, and we said, okay. And I personally didn't think I thought DaCosta was going to sit on his hands because that's what he did at receiver last year. But I will say, Geno Stone with the big interception really baited Burrow. We'll get to that. Rock Ya-Sin, we'll get to that one too, but hard to rip a ball away from Chase in the end zone. And then Darby's playing well in a nice pass breakup. And I think really the key guy, not only for this season, but probably next season, Brandon Stevens, really growing into that almost like a Jimmy Smith kind of player who just uses his length and size and strong tackler. So, that, again, signs of optimism, reasons to be hopeful that this is a team that can match up with Brandon Stevens. At this rate, he's probably going to remain CB2 when Marlowe comes back and play close to 100% of snaps. And then they'll figure out what they're going to do in the slot now with the new injury news.
Definitely feel good about our secondary. Like you said, we were very down on it, very down on it for, like you said, 15 episodes at least. But like you said, again, once Darby and Clowney were added, we kind of changed our tune a little bit, and I feel good about it. Rock Sin, that play really made me open my eyes a little bit. I did I did see that he was over the last like 2 years, like the third least yards allowed corner in the NFL per charting. Um, you have to
In
feel good
man,
about that.
wasn't it man though?
No,
And then in
it was general.
overall.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
overall. So I felt good about that, and we go back and forth in our chat about him, and sometimes you let that overtake facts, but that I thought that play really opened my eyes to what he could do.
Yeah. So, segueing into the injury news exiting this game, Beckham was banged up with an ankle. Um, he seems probably doubtful to play this week, I'd say. Maybe if this was
Yeah,
a bigger game, he would play. Owe, potentially a high ankle. And Harbaugh's being a little bit coy about what exactly it is, but when you see a guy leave a stadium in a boot, that's usually a high ankle. So, you know, you're not deep there. Although I thought Tavius Robinson had a pretty good game for his first extended action. But the big one is Ardarius Washington, the starting slot corner, starting nickel with a chest injury, joining preseason projected slot corner Pepe on injury reserve. So these guys are out for a while now. What are you looking to do in the slot for the next couple weeks until these guys maybe get a little healthier?
I'd probably. I mean, you paid Mollett $220,000, so you got to get a little bit of return of ROI, return on investment there. Put him out there, let him play a little bit. If he sucks, that's 220K down the drain. And if you have to, and I hate doing it, maybe revert back to Kyle Hamilton in the slot. Um, I mean, you could stick Stevens
Who are you
there.
putting on the back end if you I think you got to wait till Williams comes back until you bring Hamilton down.
I'd run
Unless
just
you're gonna run Worley over the top in
Duron
cover
Harmon.
two.
Duron Harmon.
Harmon. Okay.
I'll
Yeah, they
let
got
the smarter football player be back there.
Yeah, they got some options. I don't think this is a backbreaking, injury. Certainly, probably not as impactful as the big 4 or 5 they had in week one. Um, Washington, as well as he played, he really was exposed against T. Higgins' length in this week 2 game. So I think
Yeah,
they got some options. I agree with you. Give him a shot. Maybe he's another guy that can perform better here than he had in Pittsburgh. He was good enough to start 7 games for Pittsburgh last year. Pittsburgh had a good defense, so he's not trash. I think they'll be okay there, but worth mentioning at least. The injuries keep piling up, keep mounting. They're going to be starting. And I do another. I'll plug my other podcast on this one because I plugged this one on. I do a pod with Kevin Cusick every Thursday. We release it on Friday called Friday Morning GM, and recorded that earlier today. And there is going to be a crunch where pretty much every single player that's inactive is unable to play. And they're going to start running into some numbers game issues on how many guys can return because it's a maximum of 8, including Bowser. But anyway, for that really nitty gritty GM type analysis, listen to that one. I do think, as long as McDonald can keep scheming it up the way he has, then they're going to be okay on the back end.
agreed. Very much agreed.
All right, well, let's get into this film analysis here. Excited to see what you gleaned.
Yeah, it was a good week. A lot of very exciting plays and a lot of things that I noticed that caught my eye. And yeah, so obviously we had a nice color code here. So when you click play on here,
Yep.
if you could, it should give you an option down in like the bottom right to give it better quality. Not, yeah, there you go. There's a little gear button.
Yeah.
That and then is already 720.
Let's do 720.
There you go.
There we go. 720. All right. So up first, we have a Justice Hill tough run, outside zone concept here. And I noticed that on the first quarter for sure. He was really running hard. Break it down for us.
Yeah, so the reason why I use this play, and this is not so much of the 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 blocking or necessarily, it's the concept of how can we turn a 12, 13 yard run from Justice Hill into this play, into that play, and how do we turn a shotgun outside zone into a shotgun RPO orbit into a shotgun play action deep bomb. That's kind of like my thought on it. How do we? The biggest difference to me, and I said it earlier, was how do you? The reason why Monken kind of sets these things up is each play he sets something up. It's like there's constantly, like, you can see the gear turning and the next play kind of being developed, and you can see how the small differences that he has between Roman are so vast and large that it has a huge impact on the game. So, but this play, it's a standard run, but you need this play in the core of your offense in order to establish other things. You need to be able to, and as much of a passing league it is, and as much as I want them to throw the football, you still need to be able to run the ball effectively at times to set up certain plays. Otherwise, the defense is going to respect it. So I was just here, very, very, very nice run from Justice Hill. He's going to break one. He will break one eventually. He will break one of these
Yes.
for a touchdown for like 50 yards eventually. He's running so hard, but it hasn't came yet.
I think that's a great point as far as building other plays off of a previous play and using some deception. And that was definitely not Greg Roman's strong suit. He was just kind of an old fashioned high school coach lining them up, and they know what's coming, but we're too tough for them to stop it. And that doesn't play as well in the NFL in 2023. So really good to see Monken modernizing the offense. And then this was a just absolute missile that Lamar launched. What a dime this play was.
Yeah. So just like we just previously stated, the concept of the zone run to the left with Justice Hill, there they play action. They do the same kind of concept, similar formation, and they run play action off of it. And it makes the defense think twice, because if the safety is not committing on the run, if the safety is committing on the run, if their linebackers are shifting towards the run side, if they're not, it freezes the defense. And plus, you have the Lamar Jackson factor. It all comes together. It all works in a good unison. So obviously here, I wanted to also highlight John Simpson has played decently well in pass protection for me. There's gonna be another play later for the throw of the week.
Yeah,
That I was a little surprised that John Simpson was a good pass protector. I thought he may have been a good run blocker, average pass protector, but to me he looks good enough. So yeah,
yeah.
like,
That's all you need a
the
left guard.
yeah, that
He-
was
he's
that was a seed from Lamar. Just a good, absolute seed.
right on his helmet, just stoop. It was great. And we were talking about it in the group chat before this play. Man, Lamar's accuracy inconsistent, and a couple of other guys are a little bit more bearish on Lamar's accuracy. But and then come to find out afterwards that this was he's like one of the top three most accurate quarterbacks on deep passes per tracking, which kind of surprised me this year. But okay, let's go on to
It
the
doesn't
next one
surprise
here.
me. It doesn't surprise me because I've been banging the table. It's a wide receiver stat, and we have a receiver like Zay Flowers who runs a 4.3 and can track the ball deep. It's gonna help you out a little bit. And not when you have Tylan Wallace, who his deep shots in college were sideline fade shots where you jump over other 5'9" defensive backs, and James Prochet, who can't
Right.
jump or do anything, and he's gonna go work at T-Mobile for the rest of his life. Or you have Demarcus Robinson, who runs a 4.8 and is the slowest receiver on the planet, and he's good for one double move every 6 weeks. Or Rashad Bateman, who has, he's healthy now, but last year was playing on an ankle. You know,
Yeah, no, I agree. So I was going to save this for the preview section, but they have currently the fourth best explosive play rate in the NFL at 18%, which is a huge improvement from last year. They've also cut their drops in half from what Lamar was dealing with last year. And kind of surprisingly, their yards of separation has not been all that great yet. So I think there's still room for improvement. But let's move on to this next play, the RPO orbit. You got Flowers here. Um, pre-snap motion is one of the common denominators between all the best offenses. San Fran, the Rams, and the Chiefs, I believe, are the top three according to PFF in pre-snap motion, and it really does, open things up for your offense.
Definitely. I've once again highlighting off the stack of the first initial run. This is how you set things up. This is how you script. This is how you build. This is how you level plays together, stack them nicely, and here we go. You're gonna see another kind of play action looking type play where it's actually an RPO, and he flicks it out quickly to Flowers, and then Flowers does the rest down the field. But it kind of, like I said earlier, it all works together. How do you cohesively build a scheme around such a simple play? Just a
Mm-hmm.
simple play is a 13-yard handoff to Justice Hill that turns into a 50-yard pass as a Flowers that then turns into a screen pass as a Flowers. Um, it is, really impressive stuff to me from Monken. That like the biggest difference between him and Roman is this whole idea of scripting things together so it's linear. Roman was more like sporadic. It was just like, all right, we think that this section of plays is going to work. We'll run this.
Right.
We'll run play number one in the first quarter of week one, and we'll run play number two in week 7 of quarter three, and then we'll like it's like sporadic. It doesn't come together, but I feel with Monken it really does piece together very nicely.
You know what? And when you have good players, you don't need to be so complex. Keep it simple, like you said. Playmakers make a big difference. So we're going to flip it over to the defensive side of the ball now, and you highlighted a Clowney sack. So let's run it through and give some thoughts. So he's wide 9 here, right? You
Yep.
consider that wide 9?
Yeah, that's a wide 9. Yeah.
And he just ripped right past Jonah Williams. And what I noticed on this play was the way Roquan took away Boyd's route. Just really a good awareness. Now, this was the play where Queen got hurt for a minute, right? And Delshon Phillips came in for one play.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and look at Queen. I'm sorry. Look at Roquan, the way he's aligning it, and then the way he just takes away that hot route just by dropping to the right spot and just kind of following pattern matching almost.
Yep. Yeah. So you got to feel good here about Clowney getting the sack. Obviously, the ball's getting out quick all day. One of the quickest, I think, average time of release in the NFL from Burrow. So good here from Clowney. Get around the edge, beat him, and then come in and finish the playoff. He had another good all game. Jadeveon Clowney was long arming the tackles to death. It was sick. If you remember Trayvon Walker,
Yeah.
the edge out of Georgia, he made me fall in love with the long arm. Like I didn't like him at all as a player, but the way he would long arm people made me really like that move. So Clowney's really good at utilizing it, getting that long body frame and going out and extending and making a play.
And that's been the knock on Clowney is he doesn't get home. He would get that initial pressure, but he wouldn't get the quarterback on the ground. And he did on this play. So really good to see.
Yeah. Now we just need a Georgia versus South Carolina play from him. We take someone's helmet off.
Yeah.
Who's the running back on our schedule we hate the most? Austin Eckler?
I think Najee. I can't stand Najee. So overrated. But We'll see. Najee also threw somebody on the ground with his left arm with a one-hand stiff arm this week, so it might be easier said than done.
He's overrated.
All right.
But
Yeah, he is. He's so overrated. He gets what's blocked for him and nothing else. You might as well have signed Mike Davis instead of drafting Najee.
he's a slow Gus Edwards.
I like
He's
it.
literally a slow Gus Edwards who can maybe catch.
No explosion. No explosion.
Yep.
Rock your strap.
Yeah.
Was
I thought
strip?
I thought I'd get a little creative here. Because he did strap up here, Jamar Chase, so I had to come up with a creative name. But we've seen
Same at the top of your screen.
He rips it out. Unfortunately, I was trying to get the angle to the point where it would like zoom in on him, but you can still see the ball come flicking out there at the eye.
Yeah, so he gets his right hand in there, and Chase has it, two hands against his chest, and rips it right out. I mean, that's classic technique, but it's impressive because Chase is one of the strongest receivers. He's not the fastest, he's not the craftiest. He wins with strength, and to be able to rip a ball away from him when he had it in the grasp like that's very impressive.
Yep, Chase is one of the most elite like testing receivers of all time. I think he put up a 9.99 RAS. So, like you said, strength, all that super important to his game. But Rocky Sin is also kind of a strong corner, and like Phoenix Blade said there, Rocky clamps, Rocky strap, Rocky cooked them. There you go.
It was a good day for Rock and Stone. It was a really good day for the geologist part of the fan base here. Speaking of Stone.
That was good. You're a good time.
Speaking of Stone. So cover 2, and Steven says outside leverage or inside leverage, and so he peels off. Go ahead, say it in your lingo.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the biggest thing was him breaking on the ball, him reading Joe Burrow's eyes, how he kind of baited him a little bit, and we have this idea that maybe Marcus Williams is out. We're kind of down a little bit of range, but Geno Stone pretty clearly here provided the range that we needed in the absence and the playmaking ability. I feel good about it. I feel really good about this play. I think it shows a lot of how Geno Stone has grown as a player over the past 2 years, and this defense and Mike McDonald's defense. I guess now would be a year and 2 games for him. I mean, this is what you ask for is plays like these where you can really jump a route like that.
So cover 2 is Hamilton has this half, Stone has this half. So that is right where he made that interception is right at the peripheral of his assignment. So that does definitely show some range for sure. Should have caught it back though. Look at that. Should have caught it back. But that's okay. They ended up getting a touchdown on that drive anyway.
Well, the next play was the Flowers play.
That's right.
And then the play after that was the Mark Andrews out route.
Yep.
Well, they ran 2 design touches to Flowers to really gas him out after the 50-yard bomb, and then they gave it to Andrews.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So Yori's throw of the week.
Yeah. So nice little throw here to Nelson Aguilar, and the biggest thing here, why I highlighted it, is outside of the fact that he threw it over a linebacker, is that he protects him here. He kind of leads him back out of the way of that defender. If he puts him any more out in front, this is one of the best things about Lamar Jackson is that he will not throw a hospital pass. I think out of all 5 years of me watching him play for the Ravens, or 6 years now, I have not seen him throw a hospital pass to a receiver and to see a receiver get laid out, helmet flying off, anything like that. I've not seen it. So this is really good ball placement. And you could put the Zay Flowers throw here, but I don't want to go the throw of the week. I don't want it to be like the throw that has been posted 5 million times. Like I want it to be at least something a little unique.
The underrated throw of the week.
Yeah,
I just want to make the point. Look at that pocket. Look at that pocket. It
yeah,
doesn't
and
get much better than
John,
that.
go back to the beginning if you wouldn't mind. John
Yep.
Simpson holds up really, really well here.
Yeah. As you can see, I mean, he doesn't give an inch. He doesn't
Yeah.
even give an inch there. Is that
So
and I think that was Hill, right? Or was that Reader?
that was no, that was the Zach Carter, their third round pick out of Florida.
Gotcha.
But
But
held him
yeah,
up.
doesn't get much better than that. And great point as well on Lamar not throwing he let him away from the hospital on that one.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, let's go on to the look ahead to preview the game upcoming. Gary's putting in the deep dive, checking out all 22 of the upcoming opponents, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. So I got to watch. I would say from half to on in this game from all 22, just because if Richardson was in, this would be a little more different of an offense. But unfortunately, he isn't. He's probably going to be out this week, concussion. Don't want to play him. Don't risk him. I am a little disappointed. I really wanted to go to the game and watch my favorite quarterback prospect ever play, but happens. Um, so here with Minshew and his offense, they and I kind of call maybe this will be later for the prop bets show, but they run a lot of speed outs, comebacks, and checkdowns. There's a lot of things that are quick and easy outside the perimeter, or little checkdowns or a tight end running like a little like slanted curl, or it's nothing. They're not going to push the ball down the field, and I, we have this super aggressive scheme. I'm really feeling the vibes of a defensive touchdown, but we'll get to it later. But I really am. I think that someone's got an opportunity to break on one of these out routes that are comeback routes, that are timing routes that you can time to jump.
Indeed. So let's play it through. You get Pittman comes down and gives just a little bit of a rub on the safety there. Opening up, is that Granderson?
Oh
83?
yeah, I think so. I think
Carl
so.
Granderson, former BYU tight end. Um, Steichen knows how to design offense. But
This was a
as you
touchdown.
see again,
That's why I
right,
highlighted
as
it.
you'll
This was a
see,
touchdown.
so Pittman comes right here, just gives him that little rub, just gives him that 1 yard of separation. That's all he needs, and Minshew puts it right on him.
Yeah,
So
I like Steichen's offense. I really do. I think with Richardson, it looked really well. You kind of limited with Minshew, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about Steichen. Their owner, not
yeah,
so much. But hopefully they get a
and
couple of
notable,
receivers in there.
yeah, man. Well, we'll get to that in the next segment, but just previewing it, both their center and left guard did not practice today. So the Ravens are not the only injured team in the NFL, believe it or not.
Yep. And we got one more play here. Just not
If
this.
I can get to it, there we go. Still working out the kinks of this technological stuff that you got me doing over here, bud.
It's all good. Yeah. So just poor tackling here from the Colts, 1-on-1, and midget Tank Dell there scores the touchdown.
Yeah, just picked them up on one of my teams this afternoon, actually. But yeah, Dell, horrible tackling. So this is a guy named what's his name here, Darrell Baker, who was a UDFA that was on the Cardinals P squad, and somehow he's playing ahead of a guy we like pre-draft, Julius, now goes by Juju Brents. Somebody I think that they can probably pick on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, I don't. I'm not into the whole reason why I changed his name. That was why to do that. And I think that's why he's not playing.
I don't
Julius
know. I don't.
Julius is a good name. That's a good Greek name,
So
isn't it?
that's a Roman name. It's a Roman name,
Roman. There you go.
but Romans
Okay.
are Greeks anyway. So yeah, it's all the same. Yeah, it was a pretty good. So I guess looking at it, I mean, this is quarters coverage, and they're pretty vanilla. They're pretty soft. At least they have been in previous years. Um, so yeah, I think that's it. Should we?
Yeah.
All right. Stop sharing. I shared enough. So we got some comments here. Looking forward to this game. Um, Rakia clamps. I like it. So Indy has a tough run defense. They really do. That they're a team that invests in devalued positions. They traded big money and paid Buckner. They have Quiddy Pay, who's a good edge defender. They have Shaq Leonard. They have another linebacker who's stepping up. 2.6 yards per carry through 2 games. That's like 2000 Ravens level run stopping. So I really do think that the Ravens are going to have to establish the pass yet again. I guess that's my first key to week 3.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And like you just previously stated, their pass defense really isn't that good. It just isn't. I don't buy their safeties. I don't buy their corners. And the only thing that's their saving grace is that front four up front with Pay and Buckner, and Grover Stewart is another player that I like.
Yeah, good 3
So
pick.
they'll have to get after the quarterback and this attack this offensive line, but I'm feeling I'm just not feeling it for the Colts. I think the Colts are always going to be a tough out, but it's just
Well, that's the thing. They're kind of like the Titans.
yeah.
There's smash mouth teams, and then there's high flying teams. Essentially, if you want to divide it up into two, and then the really good teams, the contenders, can do both. With like the Ravens can this year, like other teams have in the past. Um, as I mentioned earlier, Ravens are 4th best in explosives. They're 28th best in yards after the catch through 2 games, which I was surprised by. Only 4 yards per reception after the catch. So I definitely think this is a game where they can right that ship a little bit. Indy through the first 2 games have the 2nd lowest blitz rate in the NFL. Lamar has been cooking, just carving everyone up when he's not pressured. And I really do think that they don't have anybody that can cover Flowers. I don't think they have anybody that can cover Bateman. And I do think this is a Bateman game. I think you want to get Bateman involved. You want to feed Bateman in this game. Their whole secondary is basically, Geno Smith or Darius Washington overachiever types. They don't have a lot of talent there. So I do think this is a game not only to get him involved, but we saw the post game thing, and Harbaugh's giving a game ball to Aguilar, and you see Bateman, 2 steps away from Harbaugh, kind of looking like, I'm the first round pick here, and I haven't been playing, and you guys drafted over me and signed over me, get me involved. So anyway, I want to see Bateman involved here. I think you establish the pass, and then once you get a pretty good lead, then you impose your will with the run game. That's kind of my blueprint on offense for this game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Agree with that wholeheartedly.
So flipping it over to defense, Johnny Taylor is holding in on IR. Zach Moss came in and had a good game last week, like a lot of backup running backs behind good offensive lines do. The only guy on this offense that gives me any kind of pause is Pittman, and it's really hard to scheme on offense when you only have one guy that the defenses actually fear.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say this is probably going to be a Josh Downs game.
Okay.
Maybe not because I'm wearing this.
Where did he go to school?
He went
Where did he
to
go to
the
school?
same school as this guy right here.
Oh, okay.
No, not out of bias, but
he wasn't recruited. He wasn't recruited by the really good teams in the ACC, though. That's what you're saying.
No, he wanted to go here.
Okay.
But yeah, down Darius Washington, and now we have Mullet out there who hasn't played football. He's practiced, but he hasn't played any games like everyone else has. So I guess Josh Downs maybe get loose here and there. And like I said, it kind of lines up with the speed outs and the outs and the quick stuff. Downs is going to get open quick, no matter what. It's inevitable. He's a slot receiver. That's what you're built to do. That's what he's built to do. He's a very stocky, small slot receiver that can burst out of his break. So I would expect him to probably get 5 catches for not. I'm not saying 100 yards, but maybe 50, 60 yards. Just a nice little game. Little, if you want to bet on an opposing team player to get something, I think that would be the guy I would go with.
Yeah,
I feel good. I feel good about McDonald eliminating Pittman in a
right.
sense.
Kind of like what they did last week. They took away Chase and then Higgins ate.
Yeah.
So you take away Pittman and then Downs
So
can eat.
maybe,
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, definitely. The other thing I think is they can attack the right side of the offensive line. Richardson has took a few sacks, maybe due to inexperience, more than the line not blocking as well as putting it maybe more on him than the line is what I'm trying to say. But I do think that they can run some games with Clowney, maybe with Matabike, and attack that right side of the line. So that's what I'm looking to do. The Ravens' run defense is always pretty stout. Michael Pierce is having a fantastic season so far. You got your 2 stud linebackers. You got your, heavy hitting safety. I'm just not worried. I'm just never ever worried about run defense for the Ravens.
yeah. Well, Richardson was one of the least sacked quarterbacks in college, so I think that's more of an offensive line thing. And to your point, let's get Clowney on the job on the same side and run a stunt. That's what I want to
Yeah,
see. Let's get the
sure.
two freaks on the same side. Let's go. Let's see what happens.
Well, unless you have any other keys, go to our predictions here.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I think India is a strong team in the trenches. They got a good offensive line. They got a good run defense. They're just outclassed on the perimeter, like the Ravens were in a lot of the seasons where they couldn't quite get over the hump. They're just outclassed on both sides of the ball. Ravens usually only on one. Long story short, I think the Ravens cover the 8.5. I think it goes under the 44.5. And I'm going to go Ravens 31, Indianapolis 13.
Wow. That was close. I was so before I started up here, I was in between 31 to 10 and 31 to 17. So I'm gonna go ahead and go 31 to 10 here. I just think that if this was Anthony Richardson playing, this would be a lot funner of a game to watch. But I think this is gonna be just a disgusting. We get up and they get a late field goal or touchdown at the end to kind of the backdoor cover any 25-point spreads.
Well, apparently we have a tropical storm heading up the Chesapeake Bay potentially.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so that could have some impact. But I really do feel pretty strong about this game. The Ravens, in the past I would have, but now that you had the weaponry in the passing offense that they didn't have before, that's just that's the difference maker, to me. So, yeah. Favorite prop bet for Ravens? You have one in mind?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with the anytime defensive touchdown plus 600 right now on FanDuel and DraftKings. And the reason why I picked it is because not only is the rain going to play a factor, the ball slips out, whatever. What I have been kind of hammering on a little bit with the Colts offense is that they're going to be this quick, simplistic out on the perimeter, trying to just get the ball out and gain 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards type of plays. And you have Stevens, who's been playing ridiculously aggressive,
Yeah.
and I think it's his time to go out there. And you remember how Garnett called that Chuck Clark interception versus the Rams? It was
Mm-hmm.
like 2 years ago. I'm calling
Mm-hmm.
it. I think Stevens,
Call your shot.
God bless him if the rain comes down. He already doesn't have any ball skills. The water on his gloves is going to do who knows. But let it just. I think it's his time, and he's going to go out there. He's gonna get himself a pick six. If not, someone will Kenny Young, Gardner Minshew, and the ball will be out, and they'll pick it up and go.
I like it. I think that's a good call. I saw you made mention of that earlier, and I really enjoyed it. I'm going to go with Lamar over 230 passing yards. No, it's probably a little bit bold with a almost 9-point spread. You're probably not going to be passing much in the second half. He's also probably not going to be uh, uh, positively impacted by the weather. But I do just think that the matchups they have, Andrews, I really do think that the receivers and the tight ends can eat in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if he got close to that number in the first half alone. So I'm going to take Lamar over 230 passing yards.
I like it. I like it.
Yep. So let's get on to Thursday night quickly because I think the game's right about to kick. What are you looking at
Yes.
Thursday?
I have no prop bets. All I'm going to go is the 49ers just blow out the Giants. This is what happens when you invest in slot receivers and you
Defensive
can't push.
tackles.
Yeah, you can't push the ball down the field. And the Giants they stink. They really stink. And I'm not buying them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Laying 10.5 is a lot, but at home on a short week, they're down Ayuk. Giants are down their best lineman, and Barkley probably to make a difference. It's just a mismatch. You got maybe the worst offensive line so far versus one of the best defensive lines, and then you got Wink Martindale with a cast of, mostly below average. Besides Deontay Banks, potentially DBs going up against, the team with one of the, four, well, I guess three with Ayuk out, but still legit weapons. I had Kittle first touchdown. I actually did not only say this bet, but made this bet. And I guess I didn't write it down. I think it was plus 700. First touchdown, George Kittle. I could see Wink trying to light him up, heat him up a little bit, and Kittle breaking tackles against a short, a secondary that's missing a couple guys because they're too close to the line of scrimmage. So that's my play there. Upset of the week. I actually have 4 upsets that I like this week. But what are you looking at?
4, that's a lot. That is a lot. So I'm thinking here, obviously last week I hit mine with the Commanders over the Broncos. Unfortunately the Packers won, for you lost. I also put that in a lot of my parlays and I lost. So unfortunate, but you don't want to go to the well twice. I'm not going to pick the Commanders again. It wouldn't surprise me if they beat the Bills just because of how
I think it's a decent matchup.
How captivating it is to have the Commanders go from pretty bad to terrible owner to now they're kind of on a roll, and I'm a big believer in winning cures all. So going here week 3, I'm thinking about it, and I had a change of heart. I really did have a change of heart earlier today, and I'm gonna go with the Rams over the Bengals. I just think that Joe Burrow being that this calf is just it's you don't play with it. You should have sat him. You should have sat him till week 4, week 5, and let him just get fully healthy. So be it. If you're 1-4, you can pull it together. You've done it before, but they put him out there, and now Aaron Donald's going to go out there, and it's not going to be fun.
Yeah, actually, that was the 4th one. I had that question mark next to that one. So Rams are plus 130 in Cincy on Monday night. I went to Cincy on the road. Monday night team. That's a tough matchup. But yeah, I think there's some matchups there. I think this time of the year it seems that superior coaching prevails more often than not. And then when you get into the higher levels, the late season, the postseason, that's when all the coaching is good, and that's when you need your playmakers. So yeah, I had that
Taylor
one.
Used to be under McVay as well.
Yes.
So McVay got a little leash around him.
In that vein of superior coaching, I like the Tennessee Titans plus 164 at Cleveland. I think both are kind of similar, and Watson has really been struggling. I don't know. The Titans they're not a threat, but they're a tough-nosed, hard-nosed team. So I like that one. I also like Atlanta plus 138 at Detroit. I think, again, 2 similarly talented teams. The road team has a better coach, so I kind of like that. And then the 4th one would be the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 120 at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Steelers' offense has been horrible passing the ball and running the ball, and the Raiders' defense might just be the elixir for that combination.
So which one are you going with as your one? So
all right, as my one,
Your upset of the week.
I'll take Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Atlanta over Detroit.
Last week you were fading. This week you're riding.
It's a matchup league. It's a matchup league.
I respect it.
Detroit. I think Atlanta has a better defense and a better offense. So, Ritter just does just enough to get it done.
All right. Anything else we got before we get out here and watch this disgusting football game?
I think that's all we got, man. Let's keep it rolling. Ravens are now fifth best odds to win, or fourth best odds to win the AFC, up from about eighth or ninth in preseason. So they're behind the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Dolphins. So just keep climbing. Just keep stacking W's. They've only been 3-0, I believe, 2 or 3 times in franchise history. So a good opportunity to get to that 3-0 mark.
Yeah. Yep. Ravens 17-0. Let's ride. All right. Appreciate everyone for joining, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.